Alaikum. In today's video, I'll be giving yet another argument for the truth of Islam. This is from the Fitrah. Let's get started. So, here's the argument. There's an Islamic concept mentioned in the Quran and Hadith that people have a natural intuition or inclination to believe in God. Also, the more we are close to God and worship God, the happier we are. Both of these can actually be shown to be true using psychological studies. So here's the hadith that mentions this. It also mentions the ayat of the Quran, Surah Rum, ayat 30, where this concept is mentioned. This is a famous hadith in this regard. So to prove my point, I need to prove that belief in God is intuitive, right? I'll just give two references for this. The first reference is from Deborah Kellerman from an article, "Are Children Intuitive Theists?" Again, the reference is here in this regard. Basically, what she finds that children children have an intuitive theism, an intuitive belief in God. This is what her research has found. There's an atheist psychologist named Paul Bloom, uh, again, who argues that recent findings in cognitive psychology indicate that two key aspects of religious belief, belief in a designer and belief in mind-body dualism, are natural to young children. Again, another evidence for a belief in God, right? That is natural to children. So these are two references in this regard. I could have given more, but I want to focus on the argument. So there's an obvious contention to this argument. Some that's A person against this argument claim that someone could just look at people and come to this conclusion. So this is not an argument for Islam. This contention does not work because you can look at people and think that this belief in God is either natural or people are taught this belief and that's why it persists. Right? So just basically that condition, because that reason does not work. Moreover, these psychological studies suggest that there's an immaterial designer which is different from many of the pagan gods. Since there are so many different religions, you would not expect that a uniform conception of God would be natural to humans. No one in 7th century Arabia would assume this, just looking at the surrounding and looking at so many pagan religions and different conceptions of God. You would not assume by just looking at people that there's a uniform conception of God that is natural to humans. So I don't think this convention works. The reason that this is a powerful argument for the truth of Islam is basically that the concept of God that is uniform to people. Firstly, there is one concept of God that is uniform to people. Moreover, that concept of God is remarkably similar to the Islamic concept of God. Now, I'll just give two references in this regard. Actually, I'm giving a reference from Daniel Hakikaju's research on this topic. So I just thought that he has a better research on the topic, so I'm just using that here. I'll give two references from two psychologists, Justin Barrett and Olivera Petrovich, for my work, for my argument. Firstly, Justin Barrett, American psychologist, lists the primary characteristics of this universal notion of God. He is all knowing, all powerful, supreme being responsible for the creation of the universe. He has a mind, has a will, is immortal. He controls the past, present, and future. He created the universe for a purpose and has set a moral order. He communicates with people and rewards or punishes them. But he does not have a body and is invisible. Again, this is extremely similar to the Islamic concept of God, which is why I think the Fitrah is actually quite a powerful argument for the truth of Islam. Moreover, another Oxford researcher, Olivera Petrovich, basically tested Japanese and British children, and basically she found that Japanese children had a natural belief that God created the world. The reason this is remarkable is Japanese religion does not teach this idea of God creating anything. So if it is not taught, how did Japanese children get this idea? They got this because this is a natural belief in them. Also, in Olivera Petrovich's research, the researchers also asked children to describe God. Now, what basically we found out from this is that children predominantly conceive of God as a person without a body, similar to notions of gas and air, air and not though not identical, just similar to them. Petrovich claims that children get the idea of God as man through their religious education, but no child naturally thinks of the creator of the world as a person with a body. Again, if someone was just looking at people and making this claim up, right? A lot of religions have the notion of God man. So why wasn't this belief made up? Again, I think for these reasons, this is actually an extremely powerful argument for God, and again, I don't think there's any way around this argument. Furthermore, another point of this argument was that Islam also says that belief in God makes us happier, and this is actually proven by psychological studies as well. I'll include some references for this in the video description. Inshallah, I hope you have enjoyed this video. I do think this is a powerful a powerful argument for Islam being from God. However, before I end, I'll just make one thing clear. This argument is not in and of itself an argument for God. Why? Because the argument would be we believe God exists, therefore God exists. I don't think that argument works. And honestly, it would be a fallacy. But as an argument for the truth of Islam, this works. Why? Because Islam says this is to be the case. This would be quite unlikely uh, for Prophet Muhammad SAW or anyone else to know at that point. Yet, psychological studies prove that this is the case, which is why I think this is a powerful argument for Islam being from God. Inshallah, I hope you have enjoyed this video. Inshallah, I'll keep making more arguments and proofs for the truth of Islam. Till next time, Assalamu alaikum.